People come in. What's that? Good morning, everyone. The time is now 9:04 a.m. and I'm calling this meeting to order. With our agenda posting, we invited members of the public to view a broadcast of the Board of Directors meeting, which is live at www.youtube.com/State Bar of Texas. We also provided instructions on how to sign up to speak at today's meeting. Signups were available until 5 p.m. yesterday, and members of the public will speak, if any, will speak after agenda item number 5, and those members of the public joining remotely will remain in the Zoom waiting room until it's their turn to speak. Please note that this meeting will be recorded, and the recording will be made available to the public. And with that, Mr. Executive Director, I'd invite you to please call the roll.
Director Augusto, Director Baruch, Director Bullard, Director Cavillo, Director Cantu, Director Cardenas, Director Cavazos, Director Charbonnet, Director Cherry, Director Clark, Director Cochran, Director Courageous, Director Crowley, Director Culpepper has an excused absence. Director Barunda Firth, Director Fisher, Director Forbes, Director Fuller has an excused absence. Director Gibson, Director Goss, Director Harris, Director Hill, Director Hoskins, Director Huddleston, Director Israni, Director Kern, Director Katoon, Director Kroger, Justice Learman, Judge McClure, Director McDonald, Director Miller has an excused absence. Director Morales, Director Mount, Director Naylor, Director Pratt, Director Rispoli, Director Ritter, Director Shambato, Director Scott, Director Sloan, Director David Smith, Director Michael Smith, Director Todd Smith, Director Stafford, Director Stelly, Director Sood, Director Thiagi Rajan, Director Tisdale, Director Toby, Director Tobin, Director Tolchin, Director Vargas, Director Vasquez, Judge Wilkinson, Director Pack Wilson, Director Wooten. Mr. Chair, we have a quorum.
Director Stafford is here too. Thank you, Mr. Executive Director. Next, I'd like to invite Director Adi Shambato to please come forward and lead the board in the invocation.
Oh my. Please pray with me. Almighty God, we come to you today asking for your guidance, wisdom, and support as we begin this meeting of the new Board of Directors of the State Bar of Texas. Throughout this upcoming year, help us engage in meaningful discussion with one another. Allow us to grow closer as a group, nurturing the bonds of community. Fill us with your grace as we make decisions that affect this bar and our fellow Texas attorneys. And continue to remind us that all we do is for the pursuit of justice, the service of humanity, and the greater glory of you. We ask these things in your name. Amen.
Next, I'd invite Director Forbes to please lead us in the pledges.
pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
honor
the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you, Director Forbes. With that, we're going to go ahead and get started with agenda item number 5, which is comments from members of the public. At this time, we'd like to welcome any members of the public who've signed up to speak. Any member of the public joining us in person who wishes to speak should sign a blue sign-in card and return it to staff. In the back of the room, you'll see Kaylin Laney, who's holding up said blue sign-in card. And so if we do have any members of the public who are here to speak, please see Kaylin and fill out the blue card. If there's a specific topic of discussion or agenda item you'd like to speak on, please list that on the card. Members of the public who've joined us via Zoom will remain in the Zoom waiting room until it's their turn to speak. I will address you to indicate when you can begin speaking, and each member of the public will be given 3 minutes to speak. At the 3-minute mark, I'll ask each of you to finish your comment if you haven't already done so. That said, do we have any members of the public who have signed up to speak at today's meeting? All right. Seeing none, we're going to go ahead and move on. I believe we've now heard from any member of the public who had signed up to speak, which we didn't have any. And so the public comment period is now closed. During the remainder of the meeting, if there are board members or staff who wish to speak at any time, please approach the microphone at the center of the aisle, just as we did yesterday. If you have a comment, make sure that you please direct all comments to the chair of the board. And if you have a second or you have any sort of point of order, make sure that you stand up, clearly state your name, and wait for the chair to call on you. That said, it's now time for me to hand over the gavel. Hand over the gavel to my good friend, Chad Baruch. I will tell all of you that I've had the opportunity to work with Chad on the board now for the last couple of years. I've also had the opportunity to really get to know Chad very well. And I will tell you that Chad is going to be an outstanding chair. Listen to this gentleman. He's prepared. He knows what he's doing. He is going to do an amazing job for this bar, for this board. And I have every confidence in the world that Chad is going to be the most amazing chair that we've had yet. Chad, congratulations. Just there. Floor's yours.
Thank you so much. Before I swear in this wonderful new chair-elect, I really do want to thank Chairman Vargas for the wonderful job you've done during a very difficult time. We've all seen it. We appreciate it more than I can say, and I know that every person in this room feels the same way. You've done an exceptional job. Thank you so very much. And having said that, I can't think of anyone who is going to fill those shoes any better than the wonderful Mr. Chad Baruch. It is my extreme honor to swear him in at this point. Come closer, I've been told.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. I, Chad Baruch,
I, Chad Baruch,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully
that I will faithfully
execute the duties of the office
execute the duties of the office
of the chair of the board
of the chair of the board
of the State Bar of Texas
of the State Bar of Texas
and will to the very best
and will to the very best
of my ability
of my ability
preserve, protect, and defend
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution
the Constitution
and the laws of the United States
and the laws of the United States
and of Texas.
and of Texas.
So help me God.
So help me God.
All right. Congratulations. You did a great job.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Justice Lehrman and Santos. Thank you to the board for allowing me to be here. Santos, just at a personal level, thank you so much for all of your help. I will tell you that my first text 5 seconds after being elected was to Santos saying, bar 5 o'clock, you got to tell me what I'm doing. And he was gracious enough to be in the bar in El Paso, Texas at 5 o'clock giving me instructions. So you've done a great job for the board, and I speak on behalf of every person in here in thanking you for your service and just personally thanking you for everything you've done for me. If you'll indulge me, 3 other fast thank yous. The first is to you. I've already found that the hardest part of this job is feeling like I'm being pulled in different directions and not having time to visit with each and every one of my friends in this room. I'm a little emotional. I'm missing my dad a little bit. So thank you for allowing me to do that. It's a long way from Nazi Germany standing up here for the first Jewish chair in the history of the State Bar of Texas. The second is to my wife in the back, who continues to indulge me by pretending that state bar meetings are vacations. Happy anniversary, dear. I am still hunting anniversary gift ideas. Fellow directors, anyone has any input, it's not till tomorrow, so hit me up. And the third, Trey, to your amazing staff. I don't know what I did 20 years ago to earn the support of the state bar staff, but I wouldn't be here without so many of them. Obviously, my staff guardian angel for 20 years has been Tracy Knuckles, the director of sections, and I'm so appreciative. I never would have got here without Tracy. Pat Nestor, my adopted father, Hetty Bauer, the entire CLE staff, Marianne Gast. I mean, they've just been so wonderful to me over the years, and Kaylin and Ray and just, Jennifer, and I can't even name them all because they've been just so supportive of me, and I'm not sure why, but every person sitting in the back there, thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, folks, as anyone who played basketball at the University of Dallas or Paul Quinn College will tell you, when Coach Brook says the bus leaves at 9 a.m., the bus is leaving at 9 a.m. if you're on it or not. So I'm just letting everybody know that. Second point of business, you will find at your places. Appointments of board committees, liaison appointments. Boy, is doing that harder than you think it is. Wow. So here are just a few things to bear in mind about the committee and liaison appointments. We worked very hard, Laura, Santos, Trey, the bar staff, to give you the opportunity to serve where you ask and also ensure that these appointments were in the best interest of the board, the bar, and the profession. There's a lot that goes into this that I didn't know until the staff walked me through it. Sometimes it's just as simple as ensuring that a committee has geographic diversity, something that would not have occurred to me, but the staff would step in and say, you can't just have an entire committee of Dallas people or Houston people. So it's a more complicated process, but please bear this in mind. If you are unhappy with your appointment, the buck stops here. Don't blame the staff. Don't blame President Gibson. If you want to be unhappy with someone, please be unhappy with me, because ultimately it was my decision. I did my very best, I promise you. If you are unhappy, it wasn't because I set out to make you so. I did the best I could. And please remember to attend the meetings. Reach out, go directly back, and contact the section chair for the section you are the liaison to, contact the committee chair, and please ask them to notify you of all meetings, and then please go to their meetings. And sometimes you have to be a little aggressive about that. You may find 1 or 2 sections or committees that are actually trying to avoid you. Don't let them do it. Get there, represent the board. It's a critical component of our mission to communicate with our members. And finally, Jennifer told me to make sure I did not forget to say, use Board Effect. Log into Board Effect, look at your Board Effect, get familiar with it. All right, very good. That's all that I have. Justice Lehrman, if you would please come back to the front. We will now have the swearing in of our new president-elect, Cindy Tisdale, and then the incoming 2022-2023 directors. Cindy, as many of you know, is a solo practitioner in Granbury, where her practice focuses on family law. She served on this board. She served on the Executive and Budget Committees, the Nomination and Elections Subcommittee, the Family Law Section Council, and many other bar committees. She served as chair of the State Bar Board of Directors in 2013-2014 and as a director from 2010 to 2013. She is a dedicated bar servant and leader, and we all look forward to working with her.
Thank you so much, Mr. Brook. And I also want to echo what Chair-elect, or chair now, has said, I've had the honor of knowing Cindy for many, many years, since our area of expertise is in the same practice area. And as you all know, as a prior chair of this board, I can think of nobody who's going to do a better job as president-elect and soon to be president than Cindy Tisdale. So it is indeed my honor to swear her in today. I, Cindy Tisdale,
I, Cindy Tisdale,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute
that I will faithfully execute
the duties of the office
the duties of the office
of President-elect
of President-elect
of the State Bar of
of
Texas,
the State Bar of Texas,
and will to the best of my ability
and will to the best of my ability
preserve,
preserve,
protect,
protect,
and defend
and defend
the Constitution and laws
the Constitution and laws
of the United
of
States
the United States
and of Texas,
and of Texas.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Madam President-elect, the podium is yours.
Thank you. And we have 3 women in a row. And Harriet Myers, the first woman president in the back. Hello, Harriet. I'm so glad you could be here. First of all, thank you so much. I am so honored and humbled to be standing before you today. I am a family law attorney with a small practice in a small town, and here I am. This work means so much to me, as all of you know, and I'm so looking forward to working with President Gibson, past President Firth, the entire staff, and all of you over the next 3 years. We might not agree on how to get there, but I truly believe we all have the same goal of making the State Bar of Texas the best it can be for the attorneys in this state and for the protection of the public. And I'm so ready to get started to work. Thank you so much. This is a short speech. The long one will be next year, so I'll see you then. Thank you so much.
All right. Would now ask all of the new directors who are joining the board this year to come forward. That includes our elected directors, public members, liaisons, and section representatives, and ask Justice Lehrman to again come forward.
Okay, so I think you all know the magnitude of what you're getting ready to do. This is a very, very big deal for the state of Texas, for the third branch of government, for justice throughout our state, and for protection of the public. And I know that you all will do it with integrity, with your heads held high, and make us all proud. And so it is my extreme honor at this time to swear you all in. Please raise your right hands. I state your name. Do solemnly swear that I will faithfully execute the duties of the office of Director of the State Bar of Texas, and will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States and of Texas, so help me God. Congratulations.
Congratulations to all of our new directors and welcome. We look forward to working with you. We will now hear from our incoming State Bar President, Laura Gibson, who will take office tomorrow. Laura, it is my great privilege on behalf of the entire board to present you with the traditional rosewood gavel, symbolic of your leadership and the great opportunity and responsibility we have as we work together for the profession and the public. We are blessed to be Texas lawyers and officers of the court, and we take that responsibility seriously. We know you're going to do great things, and we look forward to working with you.
Thank you very much.
You want to pose for a picture?
I would love to.
It's one I can use. It's not crystal like Santos's. Hi, how's everybody doing? Good morning. That sure was a fun dinner last night. I have 3 presidential initiatives that I want us to work on this year. I'll tell you all 3 of them, and then I'm going to talk about the first one. So the first presidential initiative I want us to work on is succession planning, and I'll explain why I think that's very important for the lawyers of our state. The second one is related to that. It's suicide prevention training and replenishment of the Sharon Crowley Memorial Trust Fund. Many of you don't know, but last year in Sylvia's budget, we had to completely replenish the Sharon Crowley Memorial Trust Fund because it became almost exhausted. And there is no formal fundraising mechanism in place. That board is now trying to undertake the fundraising. And if you'll look in your materials for the annual meeting, there's a flyer in there that shows who some of the major donors are to that. But we need to get all of our lawyers to contribute because even before the pandemic, our lawyers were suffering. The number of lawyers who are dying, becoming disabled, or disappearing is at an all-time high before the pandemic, and the pandemic has made it worse. So there are lots of lawyers out there suffering. And, you know, it's interesting, when I talk to professionals about suicide prevention training when I was a candidate, I learned that psychiatrists don't even do suicide prevention training. And instead, their profession is trained to tell someone who is hospitalized because they have ideations of suicide that what they need to say to get out of the hospital is that they haven't had those feelings for 72 hours. So it's no surprise that if you are really at the depths of your depression, that if you're told that's what you need to do, that's what you'll do and you'll get out. So I think those are very 2 important initiatives that I want to focus on. And then the third one is, and I'm so sorry for this horrible voice. The third one is educating our members and our public about our grievance system and how it works and who's responsible for what. The State Bar of Texas has no role in the grievance system. As you new directors heard from Trey yesterday, the Commission on Lawyer Discipline does not share any information with the officers, the board members, or any staff member on the State Bar of Texas staff. But many of you, and some of you have asked me questions about it, are concerned about whether or not the State Bar has a political agenda. And I can assure you it does not. So I feel like if our lawyers and sometimes our board members don't understand the relationship between our grievance process and the State Bar of Texas, it's up to us to correct that misinterpretation. Because if there's an appearance that we are behaving in a political manner, that is not acceptable. So those are my 3 initiatives. I hope that you agree with me that they are important. Let me talk to you about the succession planning. In 2018-19, this board created a succession planning work group. And ultimately, the work group developed an online custodian appointment portal on the State Bar of Texas website. And until recently, I thought that program was a lot more successful. And let me explain. The reason we need succession planning is if you are a solo attorney and you either die, become disabled, or disappear, then there's no one in your office that can take your client file and return it to your client, right? And there's nobody in that office who can, otherwise it would violate the attorney-client privilege. So this whole task force project was to create a kind of a toolkit for doing that. So it involves amending your engagement letters so that your clients consent that if something happens to you, then they consent to your custodian having the right to come in and look at that file
not for the purpose of taking over the handling of that matter, but for the purpose of returning that file to the client or to another lawyer that the client chooses, and to take emergency steps for things that are deadline-based. So if you don't have a custodian appointed and you're a solo practitioner, that's not possible. And most people don't know that this Office of the CDC actually has a pilot program that deals with succession planning, because Dean Schaefer, who is the State Bar staff member responsible for that, has been seeing how many instances there are of the State Bar being contacted by a relative and being told, what do I do? What do I do? And it's a big problem. And as I say, only 700 lawyers so far. Oh my goodness, someone's calling me. Only 700 lawyers have signed up to have a custodian lawyer at this point. We've heard about the silver tsunami that the legal community is experiencing. In 2019, we had just over 19,000 Texas lawyers between the ages of 66 to over 75 years old. In 2021, that number totaled over 21,000 lawyers. That means that our lawyer population of 66 and over is almost 20% of our population. This problem isn't going to get better. It's going to get much, much worse. I talked to you about this, the pilot program, but this is very important work. We have to let lawyers know that they need to take affirmative steps to getting their client files returned. We also have a big problem with lawyers who have possession of wills in their offices, and the relatives of the person who prepared that will don't know where that will is, don't know what to do, who to contact. So we've got to come up with some system of having the wills housed on a local basis and have some sort of a registry so that people can find out if one of their loved ones created such a will. So it's going to be a lot of work, but I think that it's going to be very meaningful work and work that we can be proud of. And I appreciate your willingness to support me in this endeavor, and I look forward to the opportunity to work with you this year. Thank you.
Thank you, President-elect Gibson, and on behalf of everyone in the room, we look forward to supporting those very fine initiatives. We will now receive our report from our Executive Director, Trey Apfel.
Thank you, Chair Baruch. First, let me just thank Santos Vargas for his year as board chair, because for every hour that he spent up here presiding over our meetings, there were 10 hours of preparation from his standpoint. And I want to thank him for his effort, his leadership, his perspective, and his cool and calm demeanor in running our board meetings. Santos, thank you very much. Chair Baruch, welcome to the front table. I'm glad you're sitting next to me. You're going to do a great job, and we are here to support you in every way possible. President-elect Tisdale, congratulations. I remember back in 2013, I was sitting in the back of the room at a board meeting. I was a candidate for president-elect, and Cindy Tisdale was running for board chair. And the way I understood it back then was, as soon as Cindy let it be known that she was running for board chair, that was it. It was over. Nobody else came forward. Cindy ran unopposed, is what I recall, and I still have that vision of Cindy at the podium giving her speech as she was going to run for board chair. Cindy, welcome. So before every meeting, I call roll. Seems like no big deal. It's a big deal. It's a big deal for me. I've said before, when I call roll, I get chills down my spine, because I'm not just calling out names. I'm calling out leaders. We have lawyers and public members from all across this state. We have over 900 years of experience. You cover 17 districts, every area of the law, and then you take an oath. And if you didn't notice, I went out there to watch you when you took that oath. I'm going to hold you to that oath. I'm going to need you to uphold that oath. I'm going to ask you to uphold that oath. As Mr. Fisher will tell you, and I'm not picking on Steve. Steve and I go way back.
What would be a meeting be if I didn't get mentioned?
I work for the board, okay? I serve at the pleasure of the board. I run the day-to-day operations of the State Bar. The board sets policy, and I make sure that policy gets carried out. In case you haven't noticed, I've got a strong personality, just like everybody else in this room does. And my job is to advise this board in areas that the board may not be privy to, but I have knowledge of by virtue of my position. So if I speak out on a particular subject or topic, please keep that in mind. I will follow the policy and the direction of this board every step of the way. And I pledge to you that I will also make sure you know everything that you need to know in setting that policy. And then lastly, I will just reiterate the two principles to please keep in mind that we follow: self-governance and public protection. If you keep those at the forefront of your work and your good judgment, everything will be just fine. Thank you very much for your service, and we look forward to working with you.
Thank you, Executive Director Apfel. Are there any comments from directors? Seeing none, Chair calls on Director Ritter to come forward and give the TYLA report.
Thank you, and good morning, everybody. About 5 years ago, I started writing this wave that began with bar service. The wave was small at first. I volunteered for a law day committee, joined the board of a local young lawyers association, and then served as president of a local affinity bar. The wave then grew when bar service brought additional professional and career development opportunities through the State Bar of Texas, including board certification, publication opportunities, speaking engagements, and even awards and recognitions. I'd say the wave then peaked with my service and then leadership in the Texas Young Lawyers Association. But with the pandemic, the wave crashed, as did I. And I got tired, like really, really tired. You see, right when the pandemic started, I had my very first grievance filed against me. And just after it was dismissed, I lost almost all my personal files in the 2020 ransomware attack on the Texas appellate courts. There was an unprecedented assault on our nation's capital, followed by Snowvid, and then running a wholly virtual statewide State Bar campaign. Despite my campaign slogan, "Practice Proudly," I had never felt more disconnected from my job and my life than ever. But it got better. I called TLAP. I spoke for an hour on the phone with Chris Ritter, who made me feel better almost instantly by sharing a similar story that he experienced in his career. I restarted therapy, got back on antidepressants, and lifted up by my husband and my family and the support network that I had developed through my bar service, I was able to recall back to better times and why I got involved in bar service in the first place, which has re-energized me and looking forward to the future. And what I learned through all of this is that we're not alone in our struggles, and that as others have helped me, I am now grateful and honored to be in a position to help others. So now that we're here at the beginning of a brand new bar year, here are my plans for how I hope TYLA can help others over this next year. For attorney wellness, we'll produce a Taking on Trauma video series where attorneys who have undergone and survived traumatic experiences in the practice of law share those stories with others and words of encouragement for how to get through those traumatic incidents. For attorney development, we'll publish guides on how TYLA members and all State Bar members can really seize the opportunities provided by the State Bar for professional and career development, as well as understanding the grievance system. We'll continue our strong tradition of hosting nationally recognized law student competitions, and for our core mission of public service, we'll create numerous resources for the public and those involved in litigation, including How Texas Courts Work, a flagship project graciously supported by a grant from the Texas Bar Foundation, to help the public better understand the role and independence of the Texas judiciary. So on behalf of TYLA, the board, and our membership, thank you to all of you for your service and for continuing to ride this wave with me. And from the bottom of my heart, thank you for your continued support of the next generation of bar leaders. Thank you.
Are there any comments from directors? Director Ritter, please carry back to your board how proud we are of TYLA, everything that you do. We know you're going to have a great year. This board stands behind TYLA every day, every step. Thank you. We are now really privileged to have with us a very special member of our profession, someone who has been a leader in our profession for a long time. She is and she told me I only had 3 sentences, so I have to use them wisely. Here are my 3 sentences. She is the former president of the Dallas Bar Association. She was the first woman president of the State Bar of Texas, and she is, of course, the former White House counsel. She is now leading our Access to Justice Commission, and she is going to update us on their efforts. Please welcome Ms. Harriet Myers.
What an exciting morning. I'm so thrilled to be here. And on behalf of the commission, we are so appreciative of your taking time to listen to an update from us and have us as part of your considerations. We thank you for that and are humbled by how many of our lawyers are so interested in these issues. I'd be remiss not to pause a moment and say congratulations to our newest leader and leaders to come and past now. We are so proud of each of them. And I have to say, when I was traipsing around the state of Texas many years ago, trying to find lawyers that would support me for president-elect, the idea that I would see today wasn't quite in mind. So congratulations to each of you, and thank you for all your service. And thank you, State Bar of Texas, Chad and Trey and all for having me here. I consider it a privilege to be here to report about the actions and activities of the commission. And we want to thank the State Bar Board, but the State Bar in its entirety for all the support that the commission gets. We're grateful to the leadership of the bar, and we're also grateful to Trish McAllister, who is our executive director, and also all of our staff, both for the Legal Access Division and the commission, and the contributions and work that they provide us. Of course, as you know, we've been in a period of transition here as we changed commission chairs, and we are updating the membership of the commission also, and we're very pleased that we have had an opportunity to celebrate the very lengthy and remarkable service of Harry Reisner, His work in this area is legendary across the nation. And we're pleased that now the lectures that are given at the Veterans Gala every year that you are so kind to support so generously, that lecture will now be the Macy and Harry Reasoner Access to Justice lecture every year going forward. So we're pleased to be able to recognize Harry's work in that respect. And he would be the first to say, and we know he couldn't have done it without the support and love of Macy. So he is much admired, and we thank him for all that he has done. And if you didn't write one of those letters to him thanking him for his service when we were reaching out to everybody and would like to do that, it's not too late. They'll fit nicely into his book, and I'm sure he would appreciate it. So if you missed that, would like to write him a letter, I'm sure he'd love to get it. He was very touched by each and every one that he received. The Supreme Court order, as you know, is really the description of how the commission is to be comprised. And so we have been in the process of updating our membership, and we have two other positions that need to be filled. One is a non-lawyer position. Those are very, very important positions to bring us the perspective of people who are not on the commission, not in our legal profession, but have knowledge of access to justice issues. We welcome suggestions if you have any for those positions now or in the future. And also we have one more at-large position, and then we will have our commission complete. Our newest, or returning for a second term, we are going to be joined by Judge Roy Ferguson of Alpine, replacing Judge Lopez of El Paso, Lisa Hobbs, continuing to serve from Austin, David McAtee, the General Counsel of AT&T of Dallas, continuing to serve, Carol Nicholson, a non-lawyer, with whom I understand that many of you are very familiar. She will be joining us, and we're thrilled with that. And then Terry Tottenham, another person we all know well, will join us as representing the Access to Justice Foundation, and we're really excited about that. And Katie Fillmore will join us as the representative of the Texas Young Lawyers Association. So we are very excited about her joining us also. And we certainly agree that the work of the Texas Young Lawyers, it's, we used to say, the heart of the Bar Association, and their work on behalf of lawyers and the community is remarkable. And we thank them for being part of the commission. We are privileged at the commission to have Justice Brett Busby, of course, serving as our court liaison, and we're very grateful to the Supreme Court of Texas, its Chief Justice, and each one of its justices for all that they have done. Justice Lehrman, as you know, and we so appreciate, we are well known across the United States for supporting access to justice, and our court has been there in its forefront, and we thank you for all that you have done in such a very meaningful way. These issues are most critical not only for lawyers and judges and the justice system, but they are critical for our society as a whole. In addition to our routine activities, which are generally, I understand, mentioned here, we have been inviting our access to justice partners around the state to come and report and share with us what their activities are and what they're doing. We're also embarking on a process for the development of a statewide access to justice strategic plan, so that we will have a roadmap for the next years forward that will be guarded and governed by a well-developed plan. We're in the process of looking at other states and what they have done in terms of statewide planning. there's some great examples we'll have to work from, so we're not duplicating effort where we can avoid it. But that process will be very important, and we look forward to the State Bar and the State Bar Board participating in it. A major difference with the commission that really started while Harry was still chair is to cause our commission and its members to be a working commission. And by that, I mean asking our commissioners to participate directly in the work of access to justice. And we're all extremely excited about that. And it will be our expectation going forward that we are what we call a working, directly involved commission, each and every member having committee responsibilities and working on projects along with the others that are participating already. So as time passes, we'll have more to report on that. In addition to allowing us to present today and our gratitude for that, we appreciate what you do with respect to the gala, which I have already mentioned. It is a remarkable event every year. This year's speaker, I think any of us that were there were blown away by Lieutenant General Nadia West. And she conveyed so effectively just how important the work of access to justice is and what it means to veterans. And we don't think about that they served and served our country, but maybe now really need help. We just consider them naturally as being able to take care of themselves and respond to duty. And they've done that a long time, but unfortunately there are incredible numbers of veterans who are in financial distress and circumstances where they need our help. And we're going to do our best to meet those needs. And as a result of your help and the work that was done on the gala, we did raise over $550,000 to provide access to justice for veterans, and that's a remarkable number. We just want to get to 1 million this year, so I hope you all will be with us. So don't tell anybody I said that. It'll be topped. It'll be really hard to top this year's gala. It was amazing, just in every way, and from the inspirational speeches to the financial result. So, but we're off to a good start because we have another remarkable chair to serve, and that's going to be none other than Harry Reasoner himself. So he's committed to once again chair the gala, and we're grateful to him for taking that on. It's a labor of love for him, and we appreciate his commitment. We also will participate in ABA days and raising awareness in Congress for the legal services funding, and we do a number of things through the course of time, generating letters of support, contacting our congressmen and women that we know, and trying to make sure that that funding for Legal Services Corporation is what it ought to be. It never has been, but we hope someday to see it where it needs to be. So that's another effort that we will be underway. Also working with our state legislature as we're facing what we know will be a tough time. As has been mentioned earlier, our challenges certainly will be there. Additionally, we, of course, and I'll thank Alistair Dawson. I know he's here somewhere. He will be the new chair of our legislative committee, and taking on that task is a tremendous commitment. So we appreciate Alistair and his willingness to do that. And we'll, of course, be working with the State Bar to ensure compliance with the McDonald requirements. And I will say we're grateful to our volunteer counsel, Baker Botts, and Macy Reasoner Stokes and her colleagues, as well as Maddie Dortman. And if you didn't notice, the ABA just honored Maddie for her pro bono work in a real meaningful way. So we're grateful to them helping the commission, and for Tom Leatherberry, who's one of our commissioners. So we thank him for his service and working with you and being such a great colleague for us. So, and I know the internal counsel has a little bit of work in that regard too, so we thank them. Coming up in July, the commission will be hosting our Access to Justice track at the local bar leaders conference. Haven't been to that conference in a long time, but we'll have 4 different programs that will be presented there, and they will address access to justice, education, and focus on 3 other meaningful programs that are specific examples of progress that's being made. So we look forward to that. And then I have 2 kindly reminders. We're in the end times of the Access to Justice contribution campaign. And so if you haven't given to that campaign, if you can help us encourage lawyers who haven't given, inspire the firms and the corporations and individual lawyers to contribute to that, we certainly would appreciate it. Our goal is $1.6 million. That's a lot of money. It's badly needed, so we would appreciate your help. And as you probably do know, you're invited this afternoon to the ATJ reception from 5 to 6 in the Kingwood A room. So we hope you will all stop by there and be with us. Again, thank you for the ability to be here. Please give us any suggestions. Love to hear from you if you have thoughts and comments about the activities of the commission. And we'll look forward, hopefully, to seeing you this afternoon. And I'll just end by saying it's good to be back at one of these meetings. Thank you.
Any comments from directors? Ms. Myers, thank you. And on behalf of the board, thank you for your willingness to take on this role in succeeding Mr. Reesner. And it's also wonderful to have 2 of our former members leading this effort, former Director Alastair Dawson in the back, who is going to take on the legislative lead, and of course, Ms. Myers. This time we'll move on to agenda item number 11, the report from the General Counsel, Ross Fisher. No report. Agenda item 12, report from legal counsel. No report. Do we need to go on? Yes. It is now 9:56 a.m. and the State Bar Board of Directors will recess the open meeting and reconvene in closed session under Texas Government Code Section 551.071 for the purpose of consulting with legal counsel, including regarding pending or contemplated litigation, including McDonald v. Firth and Bennett v. State Bar of Texas, and regarding requests from Joe Longley and Mark Gravely for documents from Vinson and Elkins related to the McDonald litigation, and as authorized by Texas Government Code Section 551.074 to deliberate regarding personnel matters. With the exception of board liaisons and section representatives, all other individuals, including non-essential staff and other guests, need to excuse themselves from the closed session. We will notify the public when we are 5 minutes out from returning to open session. So if you are, with the exception of board liaisons and section representatives, we would ask that everyone else step out, please. Now 10:45 a.m., and the board will reconvene in open session. During the closed session, only matters relating to consultation with legal counsel regarding pending or contemplated litigation and regarding requests from Joe Longley and Mark Gravely for documents from Vinson and Elkins related to the McDonald litigation were discussed. No action was taken in closed session. This time, ask the staff to post the State Bar of Texas mission statement, and ask all of the directors to rise and join me in reciting the State Bar's mission statement. The mission of the State Bar of Texas is to support the administration of the legal system, assure all citizens equal access to justice, foster high standards of ethical conduct for lawyers, enable its members to better serve their clients and the public, educate the public about the rule of law, and provide diversity in the administration of justice and the practice of law. Thank you. At this time, the chair would entertain a motion to adjourn. Director McDonald has moved to adjourn. Director Charbonnet has seconded. All in favor, say yes. Yes. Any opposed? We stand adjourned.